So I received this engine, as you can see, already taken apart. The previous owner had attempted to install some LEDs into this engine and he blew up the decoder. So I am removing the original decoder to replace it with a Tsunami 2 sound decoder. I'm also going to finish the LED installation that he did not get finished. So we take the old one out, put the new decoder in. I start by attaching the motor wires. I did use the little plastic push-on things rather than soldering the motor wires in. This was kind of handy because I actually wired them backwards, so it was easy to take it apart and fix it again later. And then attach the track pickup wires from the one truck and then the other truck. Once I completed this, I do go ahead and solder the two speaker wires to the board. At this point, I go ahead and put the locomotive on the track and test it, and I got no sound. I then did some more testing with another speaker, ended up removing the original speaker and replacing it with an iPhone 4 speaker. Then I tested it again to make sure that it actually still works. I used some heat shrink tubing to kind of corral some of the wires for the lighting to make it easier for putting the shell on and off. And then I start attaching the wires for the LED lights. I attach the rear headlight, attach the resistor for the rear headlight, and then attach the wire to the resistor. You can also see that I put some heat shrink tubing on the wire before connecting it, and then slid the heat shrink tubing over the resistor. At this point I tested that light to make sure it worked, and then I went to the other side and I did the front headlight first. And you can see this cluster of resistors. That's because I put a separate resistor for each of the different lighting outputs that are on the front of the locomotive. That resistor cluster is put on the 12 volt positive on the front side of the decoder. And then I attach the red wires for the headlights to one of the resistors. Just like the rear headlight, I tested it as soon as I got done putting it on, and then I went in and wired all of the ditch lights and a light in the cab. I did not shoot this in video, but you can see here I am putting the speaker into the shell. And then I am kind of corralling some of the wires together to make it easier to get the shell on and off. And now I am tucking everything into the shell and putting it back together. And there are enough wires in here. It's kind of a pain to get them all in there, but it works. And then I put the screws back in. I did leave the couplers off for now, and I might just leave them off and let its owner put them back on. I don't know. We'll see. And then we put the locomotive on the track. And the headlight comes on. test run it a couple of times. And at this point, I haven't set up the decoder at all for any of the lights. So all of the lighting functions are still the original function numbers. That comes later. So here I am going to turn on function 27, function 26, and then function 25. And now we go to programming. Alright, after installing LEDs into the locomotive and testing everything, it was time to program it. I am using JMRI and I am using Decoder Pro. I set this up a little bit ago, so I will just go over and show you what I did here. This is the locomotive that we are doing. And we'll open it up. On the basic tab, I went ahead and programmed it here to the long address and put in the address number. Under lighting, I came in and set up the front headlight to auto dim so that it'll be rule 17. Back headlight is set up the same way. I also came over and set up the ditch lights over here with one on phase A and the other on phase B. That way they will alternate back and forth. When you hit the grade crossing, you can also see the grade crossing logic is enabled. And then I tried to figure out how to change the rate of flashing. And I couldn't find it in here. Eventually I had to go to the CV list here and just program the specific CV, which is CV number 59. And then I went to program the engine prime mover sound because there are 8 prime movers in this decoder. That's CV 123. So I scrolled down here and went, where's CV 123? Oh, I'm really confused. Anyway, I ended up having to close that out. And I went in and opened a brand new locomotive using just the NMRA CV standard. And then in here, I can go to the CVs. And in here, CV123 is here, and so I programmed it there, but it's not saved in JMRI anywhere because I didn't save this file, I only saved the other one. And that's all there was to it. I forgot one more thing. I am in the process of trying to program the cab light, but I'm still trying to get some information on how to do it. I want the cab light so that I can turn it on and off. And when it's on, it will dim when the locomotive starts moving, and it will come out brighter as the locomotive stops. But I haven't gotten that far yet. So. And for those who would like to know, this picture on the desktop is actually my picture. It was taken at my local railroad club. And if you look very carefully at the grain elevator, you can read South Dakota wheat growers on it. Kind of a cool little fact. Thanks for watching. One thing I didn't show in the programming is that I assigned the function outputs, the 2 ditch lights, both to function 0. That way they will come on and off with the headlight. I did this because the gentleman that owns this engine does not have an advanced DCC system. He has an older DCC system, and I wanted his ditch lights to be able to work whether he was at home or at the railroad club.
Just